So news came out on Friday that the Bills have extended head coach Sean McDermott and GM Brandon Beane to the 2027 NFL season. So these are two guys who came into Buffalo back in 2017, and for decades, the Buffalo Bills were a franchise that was experiencing mediocrity, a lack of success. Part of that has to do with the fact that Tom Brady was in the AFC East all those years, and the Bills just could never find really any ounce of success. But under Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, things completely turned around for the organization. The biggest factor, I would say, in that turnaround is, of course, the Bills selecting Josh Allen, number 7 overall in the 2018 NFL Draft, and that really changed everything for the Buffalo Bills and has really led them to become one of the most successful franchises in the NFL, a team that year in and year out has aspirations of potentially reaching a Super Bowl. And it's crazy to look back to that 2018 NFL Draft because number 1 overall, we had Baker Mayfield drafted by the Browns. Number 3 overall, Sam Darnold drafted by the Jets. And so the Bills were almost fortunate that they didn't have a top draft pick because there's a chance they would have drafted Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. Maybe they really loved Josh Allen enough to draft him maybe as the best QB in the NFL. But at the same time, you don't know. Maybe they would have taken Baker Mayfield if they had the first pick. And if that were the case, it's likely that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane probably wouldn't even be in Buffalo now because Baker Mayfield hasn't really been, I guess you could say, successful in the NFL. And luckily, they picked Josh Allen, number 7 overall. So under Brandon Beane, GM, and head coach Sean McDermott, this franchise has completely turned around from not competing at all for decades to now being one of the best teams in the NFL. They've now won the AFC East 3 straight seasons. That did coincide with Tom Brady leaving for Tampa Bay. And with Brady out of New England, the Bills sort of have taken that top role in the AFC East. It is going to be more difficult this season because Aaron Rodgers is now in the AFC East. So instead of facing off against Zach Wilson and Mike White, they'll be facing off against Aaron Rodgers 2 more times a year. So that should make things, I would say, a little more difficult for this Bills team. But I think that when you look at the extension, it's a smart move by the Bills. I know that they haven't had that playoff success they want to have. They haven't won that Super Bowl. And I think they're a team that, they really just need to get over that hump to make it to a Super Bowl. They've had issues with Patrick Mahomes, who has caused issues for many different teams in the NFL. Most teams in the NFL have issues taking down Patrick Mahomes. So like in the 2020 season, the Bills were so close to finally getting to a Super Bowl, but unfortunately, they got knocked off by Patrick Mahomes himself in the AFC Championship game. Then the following year, there was that crazy game, one of the most exhilarating playoff games, I would say, maybe in my lifetime in NFL history, was that back and forth game where neither Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen had any problem scoring. Of course, it goes to overtime, and Patrick Mahomes takes the Chiefs down the field. They score a touchdown. Josh Allen doesn't have an opportunity, and so they lose that game. And so they don't make it to the Super Bowl that year. Only they lose in the divisional rounds. And then this past season, they lose to the Bengals. I think it was, 27-10. So they haven't had that playoff success they want to have. They have won a playoff game the past 3 seasons. They've won the AFC East the past 3 years. The past 4 seasons, they've won double-digit games, which they hadn't won a double-digit game since 1999, before 2019. So there's no doubt that this team has done a complete 180 from its prior history, and so the Bills are smart to lock up, this head coach and Sean McDermott and GM Brandon Beane. And I do think that there could be a question of, how long should you hold on to these guys when it comes to, I guess, not winning a Super Bowl? Because maybe as the years goes by, if the Bills consistently aren't able to finally make it to a Super Bowl, I would assume that some Bills fans would likely want to maybe bring someone else in. But I think that as long as the Bills are, leading the NFL, being one of the best scoring offenses in the NFL, being one of the best scoring defenses in the NFL, which they've done the past 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure the past 2 years, they've been in the top 5 in scoring offense and scoring defense. So when you're having that kind of success, even regardless of actually making it to a Super Bowl, you don't let those guys go, because so many teams struggle to find coaches who can consistently lead their team to victories. And because the Bills do have that, they need to hold on to it as long as they can. And so I would say, unless in the next few seasons the Bills just fall off a cliff and no longer are successful and maybe go 9-7, or I guess 9-8 now because of the 17-game season. But if they start to decline, maybe you reach a point where you say, okay, let's try something else, try someone else new in here. But I think that for the next few years, you got to stick with these guys because they're successfully winning. And we all know It's very hard to win in the NFL, and there is some luck when it comes to the playoffs. You know, a ball doesn't bounce your way, you lose an NFC champ or, AFC championship game. Things like that do happen. And so I think that the Bills should continue what they've got going, which clearly they are planning to do, with the owner, giving them that extension, both of them, through 2027. And so they're going to have the next few seasons to try to get over that hump. But I would say it's getting even more difficult in the AFC. You look at Patrick Mahomes, clearly, Joe Burrow, of course, now Aaron Rodgers is there. Luckily for the Bills, he's an old man, so he's not going to probably be there too long in the AFC East. Maybe one season, maybe two, maybe three. I'll guess he plays more than a year, Aaron Rodgers, with the Jets. So luckily he's not a young QB for the Bills having to face for years and years to come. But even the Dolphins, too, I think they're probably going to take a step forward next season as long as Tua is healthy and doesn't have any more concussion issues. I think that you saw what the Dolphins were able to do under year one with Mike McDaniel as their head coach. I think going forward, they'll probably take a step forward coming into 2023. So it's going to be a lot tougher, I think, in 2023 for the Bills, but they still have one of the best QBs in the NFL in Josh Allen. And it really just comes down to, can they finally find that consistent playoff success? Because as I said, they've won a playoff game each of the past 3 seasons, but they haven't been able to get all the way to the Super Bowl. I think they have the talent, they have the skill players, they have, Stephon Diggs, as long as things don't boil up and get worse there, because there has been some issues clearly in Buffalo, which we've talked about on this channel, but they're in a very good position. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. If you guys want to stay up to date with all NFL news, I have an NFL newsletter I write every single morning, every weekday morning at sidelinescoop.com. You can go there and you can stay up to date with all things NFL every single morning in your inbox, so feel free to go there. It'll be linked in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.